Hi there, guys. So today we're going to be looking at democracy in ancient Athens and comparing it to that of Canadian democracy. And we're going to see what the difference is between the two. As you can see down here at this picture, for this picture, we've got a picture of the Parthenon. And down here we have the picture of our Parliament building in Alberta. So we're going to be comparing ancient Athens to our Alberta provincial government. Okay, let's get started. Let's just recap some of the parts of ancient Athens that we have been talking about. So we have the assembly, and the assembly is where we've got about 6,000 male citizens that meet there about 40 times a year to discuss issues and concerns and to debate things that are going on in Athens. They are all citizens, and so the people that cannot be part of the assembly are women, the medic, and the slaves, right? Now, to go with the assembly, we have the Council of 500, or also what we call the Boule. And that is composed of 500 members, which are selected annually. That means every year there is a new selection of 500 members. And they get chosen out of the pool of citizens that also serve in the assembly. And they are only allowed to serve for 1 year. And they are really the people that guide the assembly through what issues they're going to talk about, what important issues have come up in Athens. They make sure that all of the taxes are getting taken care of. They're making sure that the foreign relationship with other policies are being taken care of as well, right? And then from there we have an executive community, which is a group of 50 men from the Council of 500 serving as the executive community for 1/10 of a year. Each day a new leader was selected, and the members of the elective committee led the daily council of the 500 meetings. Now, I know we didn't really talk about the executive community too much, but we can see that from the council an even smaller committee is chosen, and that's to make sure that the Council of 500 is also run properly. On the other side of the assembly, we have our courts. And the courts are where the judges and the magistrates were chosen. That's where the jury was chosen. And that's where men and medics could attend, but they couldn't be representing themselves. They had to have a male citizen represent themselves. Then this is quite common to our court system as well. Now let's look at the Alberta legislature. And at front, we all know we have our Queen's representative, who is the Lieutenant Governor, who is chosen by, I hope you're saying this out loud, chosen by, obviously, the Governor General, right? The Governor General is the head of the federal level of representation. They represent the Queen, and they choose our Lieutenant Governor, who is our representative here in Alberta. Next, after voting, we vote for our premier, and the premier is the leader of the Alberta legislative government. They belong to a party, whatever it may be. So Jason Kenney is our premier, as you can think about it, and he belongs to the Conservative Party, right? Then the premier gets to choose his cabinet members, and our cabinet members are responsible for the different departments in Alberta. So we have a tax cabinet minister, we have a education minister, we have a health minister who's been working really hard, right? So the premier chooses who his cabinet ministers are going to be. Then we also have the Legislative Assembly. And the Legislative Assembly is where 87 voted members of the Legislative Assembly, the MLAs, meet to discuss issues that we are having in Alberta. So our taxes, how our healthcare is run, how our education is run. All of those issues are brought up in the Legislative Assembly, where they are debated and where they are decided upon to make laws. Okay? Let's continue forward. So we have the Assembly, and the Assembly is all citizens debate and vote. So what could this be in comparison in ancient Greece to Alberta? Well, all citizens, even if they were in ancient Greece time just males, then yeah, it would just be, then maybe it's not all of the people, all of our citizens, like it is in Canada today, but we could connect that maybe. So I wonder what the Assembly could represent in Alberta's government. Well, let's take a look. They could represent the MLAs in the Legislative Assembly. They are elected representatives, and they debate and they vote and they make laws for Alberta, right? So when we were doing our debate, remember, you guys pretended to be MLAs and you were debating over an issue, much like the citizens of the Assembly would do. The government in Alberta is a representative democracy. So there's 87 representatives we elect that make decisions for us. So the difference between the Greek Assembly and the MLA Assembly is that the Greek citizen, if you were a Greek citizen, you were a part of the Assembly and you had a vote automatically. So you would go to the Assembly, you would vote, and a decision would be made. That's what we call direct representation, right? Direct democracy, where everybody as a collective gets a chance to vote. Whereas in Alberta and all across Canada, we have a representative democracy, which means we vote for our member of the Legislative Assembly who represents us at Parliament in the legislative building, right? So all of these people, all these 87 people represent a certain constituency in Alberta. They represent us. We are directly voting on issues in that building. We have our representatives, our elected representatives, who debate and vote on behalf of us. Okay? Then we have the Council of 500. So the 500 citizens chosen in a draw, debated and voted, and then also included the Executive Committee, which was the 50 men that served, led, and the daily council of the 500 meetings. What could that possibly be for the Alberta legislature or the provincial government? Let's take a look. Well, the MLAs selected by the Premier runs the government. So we have our members of the Legislative Assembly that are chosen by our Premier, who then become cabinet ministers. They are in charge of departments, right? They are in charge of transportation. They are in charge of education. They are in charge of health. They are kind of like the smaller committee that runs the larger MLAs. And they are chosen by our Premier. Again, we can see here that when the Council of 500 was voting, that it was a direct democracy. Every person, all of these men, had a chance to speak. But as of here in the ministry or the cabinet members, they again represent a group of people. They have representative democracy. Okay? And of course, the court. In Greece, it would settle disputes through voting. So a little different than how we do it, but in Greece, if somebody was accused of stealing a beautiful pottery piece from someone, they would take it to the assembly or they would take it to the court, and people would vote whether they were innocent or guilty. And remember, this was all done by majority vote. So it all depended on how many people voted as to which way it would go. If a majority of people voted innocent, you would be innocent, right? It goes back to that idea that there's 5 people in your household. 3 of them want Chinese food. 2 of them want Vietnamese food. Well, the majority of the people in your family have voted for Chinese food because 3 is greater than 2. So that means that the ruling is Chinese food. How would this be similar or different to Alberta's government? Well, a judge makes a decision about the case based on the law that applies to the facts. So the judge is much like the magistrates in ancient Greece, and the juries are much like our juries that we have here in Alberta, right? Or across Canada, is that it is a group of people, a group of your peers deciding on the outcome of the issue, right? And that is all dependent on the law. So in Canada, we have laws as to what is okay and what is not okay, and the judges and the jury have to decide whether or not any of those laws were broken or misused. So, what are some similarities and differences between ancient Athens democracy versus Canadian democracy or Alberta's provincial government? Well, the similarities are citizens have a voice. They go to planned meetings, and there are 3 different levels of, or 3 branches, you could say, of government. A big difference is in ancient Athens, they use direct democracy. Remember, they each had their own voice, whereas in Alberta and across Canada, we use representative democracy. We vote for people to be representatives for us. In Canada, we are all considered citizens, whereas in ancient Athens, only a select few of people actually were. And we do not vote in Canada for everyone to see. As you know of the voting process, it's done secretly, and it's done through an entire process that we've gone through in class. Okay? If you have any other questions, please feel free to email me. Look back through all of your notes and complete the assignment, which is a Venn diagram, okay? You're comparing ancient Athenian democracy and Alberta's legislative democracy, okay? The 2 outside parts of the Venn diagram will be for ancient Athens and the other side for the Alberta democracy. Then the inside of your Venn diagram is for the similarities. So what's different on the outside and what's similar on the inside. Okay? Once you're done, post that onto your portfolio. Bye guys, have a great day.